In the heart of a small town, nestled amidst the icy wilderness of a winter night, Thomas, a weary taxi driver, found himself behind the wheel of his cab as he made his way home from a long shift. The snow fell thick and heavy, blanketing the streets in a soft white glow, obscuring visibility with its swirling tendrils. As Thomas navigated through the deserted streets, the only sound the muffled crunch of tires against snow, a sense of unease settled over him. The icy fingers of the blizzard seemed to claw at the windows, and the darkness beyond the reach of his headlights felt suffocating. Just as he began to contemplate the warmth of his own bed, a figure emerged from the swirling snowdrifts, a lone figure standing at the side of the road, waving frantically for a ride. Reluctantly, Thomas pulled over, his curiosity outweighing his apprehension. The passenger, a man bundled in layers of winter clothing, climbed into the back seat with a grateful sigh, his breath forming frosty clouds in the chill air. Without a word, he gave Thomas an address, a remote cabin nestled deep in the woods. With a sense of foreboding settling in the pit of his stomach, Thomas set off into the night, the snow falling thicker with each passing mile. The silence of the journey was deafening, broken only by the occasional crackle of the radio and the howl of the wind. As they neared the cabin, Thomas's unease grew, a nagging voice in the back of his mind warning him of danger. But before he could voice his concerns, the passenger spoke, his voice low and filled with urgency. "Stop here," he said, his words sending a chill down Thomas's spine. Reluctantly, Thomas pulled over at the side of the road, the headlights illuminating the thick curtain of falling snow. With a sense of dread creeping over him, he turned to face the passenger, but the seat behind him was empty, void of any trace of the man who had been there only moments before. Confusion and fear gripped Thomas as he realized the truth. The passenger had vanished into thin air, leaving behind only a lingering sense of unease and the chilling realization that he had encountered something beyond explanation. With a trembling hand, Thomas drove away from the deserted roadside, the memory of the phantom passenger haunting his thoughts as he disappeared into the snowy night, leaving behind only footprints in the snow and the echo of his frightened breaths. On a bitterly cold winter night, with snow swirling in the air and the wind howling like a mournful lament, Marcus found himself alone at home, craving the comfort of a hot pizza to ward off the chill. Little did he know, the delivery he anticipated would come with a side of terror he could never have imagined. As the clock struck midnight, Marcus's stomach rumbled impatiently, reminding him of his hunger. He placed an order for a pizza and settled in by the fireplace, the crackling flames casting eerie shadows on the walls of his empty house. An hour passed, and just as Marcus began to wonder if his order had been forgotten, there came a soft knock at the door. Startled, he rose from his seat and peered through the peephole, expecting to see the delivery person waiting on the other side. To his surprise, there was no one there, only the swirling snow and the darkness of the winter night. Confused but determined not to let his hunger go unsatisfied, Marcus cautiously opened the door, his breath misting in the frigid air. To his shock, there, on the doorstep, sat a steaming hot pizza, its savory aroma wafting through the air. Bewildered, Marcus looked around for any sign of the delivery person, but there was no one in sight. Shrugging off his unease, Marcus brought the pizza inside and sat down to eat, the warmth of the food soothing his nerves. But as he took his first bite, a feeling of dread settled over him, and he couldn't shake the feeling that something was terribly wrong. Suddenly, the room grew cold, and Marcus felt a chill run down his spine as a voice whispered in his ear, a voice that seemed to come from beyond the grave. "You should not have eaten the pizza," Marcus, the voice murmured, sending shivers down his spine. Terrified, Marcus looked around the room, but there was no one there. The voice seemed to emanate from all around him, filling the air with an otherworldly presence. As Marcus listened in horror, the voice told him of the spirit of a disturbed soul, trapped between the realms of the living and the dead. It spoke of the pizza delivery, a cruel joke played by the spirit in its endless torment. Realization dawned on Marcus as he understood the true nature of the pizza he had consumed, that it had been brought to him not by a delivery person, but by a spirit from beyond the grave, seeking to share its suffering with the living. In a panic, Marcus fled from the house, the echo of the spirit's laughter following him into the night. From that day forward, he knew that he would never be able to enjoy the simple pleasure of a pizza without the chilling reminder of the horrors that lurked in the darkness of the winter night. In the heart of the Colorado Rockies, nestled amidst towering pines and snow-covered peaks, lay the isolated town of Frostwood. Winter had descended upon the town with an icy grip, blanketing the landscape in a pristine layer of snow and casting a pall of darkness over the long, frigid nights. Amidst the chilling stillness of the winter night, a group of friends had gathered at a secluded cabin deep in the forest. Excited for a weekend of skiing and snowboarding, they laughed and joked as they settled in for the night, unaware of the terror that awaited them in the frozen wilderness. As the fire crackled in the hearth and the wind howled outside, strange noises began to echo through the cabin, whispers carried on the icy breeze and the sound of footsteps crunching in the snow. Unease settled over the group as they exchanged nervous glances, the warmth of the fire doing little to ease their growing fear. Suddenly, a blood-curdling scream pierced the silence, and the friends scrambled to their feet, their hearts pounding in their chests. Racing to the window, they peered out into the darkness, their breath fogging the glass. There, in the moonlit clearing outside the cabin, they saw them, the frozen shadows. Humanoid figures, their bodies encased in ice, their eyes glowing with an otherworldly light. With a sense of dread creeping over them, the friends realized that they were not alone in the wilderness, that something sinister lurked in the depths of the frozen forest, waiting to claim their souls. Desperate to escape the icy grasp of the frozen shadows, the friends barricaded themselves inside the cabin, their hearts hammering in their chests as the creatures prowled outside, their whispers growing louder with each passing moment. As the night wore on, the temperature plummeted, and the walls of the cabin began to frost over, trapping the friends in a prison of ice and fear. With no hope of rescue, they knew that their only chance of survival lay in confronting the frozen shadows that lurked outside. Summoning their courage, they ventured out into the darkness, armed with nothing but their wits and a flickering lantern. As they faced the creatures head-on, they discovered the chilling truth that the frozen shadows were not mere apparitions, but the vengeful spirits of those lost to the unforgiving winter wilderness. With a final, desperate battle, the friends banished the frozen shadows back into the depths of the forest, their icy forms melting away in the warmth of the rising sun. But as they emerged from the forest, shaken but alive, they knew that the horrors they had witnessed would haunt them for the rest of their days, a chilling reminder of the darkness that lurked in the heart of winter.